Check this out. Everybody's wrong about AI. It's all happening.
Static selector.
All I hear is AI this, AI that. AI's whack. What we gonna do about that? Calls for intervention hit a fever pitch this week with the release of AI Drake and AI Weeknd's Heart on My Sleeve. Of course, neither Canadian chart topper actually appears on the song, but the AI rendition was so compelling it went super viral, amassing 8.5 million views in the first 3 days. Heart on My Sleeve's actually really interesting, arguably too interesting considering it was banned on major streaming and social media platforms. It was created by a mystery man named Ghostwriter, that's on the nose. He actually created an entire AI Drake mixtape called iTape. It's all happening. The good homies over at Boxden posted a link to an independent streaming app that's hosting the full project. It's the most compelling series of Drake-ish songs I've heard since the first half of Scorpion.
What did you say, nigga?
Heart on My Sleeve is just the latest in an ever-growing gaggle of AI amalgamations captivating the community and the culture. There's an AI version of Daft Punk's Get Lucky featuring AI Michael Jackson. We up all night to get lucky. There's a hilarious concoction of AI Ye and AI Drake rapping WAP by Cardi B. Some people are calling it iconic. Somehow it works. There's an AI Jay-Z track that made Young Guru super uneasy. Hov's go-to engineer sounded the alarm on Instagram. He said people should not be able to take your name, image, and likeness without permission. We have to add voice to this law. David Guetta even added an AI Eminem to one of his sets and broke down how he did it. Here's a clip.
This is the future rave sound. I'm getting lost in an underground.
Eminem, bro. There's something that I made as a joke and it works so good, I could not believe it. I discovered those websites that are about AI. Basically, you can write lyrics in the style of any artist you like. So I typed, write a verse in the style of Eminem about future rave. And I went to another AI website that can recreate the voice. I put the text in that and I played the record and people went nuts.
I played the record and people went nuts. Well, of course they did, David. AI is dope. It opens the imagination. It allows everyone to create reference tracks to songs their favorite artists never made and or collaborations that never actually happened. And we know AI is dope because of how loudly the establishment is taking aim at this latest example of technological disruption. Young Guru's 100% correct about stealing someone's name, image, and likeness, and all of this falls outside the parameters of modern copyright law. As of now, protected intellectual property can only be created by humans, but that'll change as soon as the courts and Congress catch up, just like they did with sampling, just like they did after Napster snatched the balls off the music industry in 1999. But rather than embrace AI early, the behemoths are signaling a prohibition and punishment approach just like they did in the 2000s when they were suing 12-year-olds for downloading Britney Spears. Check this out. There was a website called Drake It. It would create custom Drake songs, for example. That site was taken down because that's what corporations do when something's too cool. Universal Music Group, the largest music company in the world and owner of 1/3 of the streaming market, is pushing major streaming services like Spotify and Apple Music to block artificial intelligence companies from using its music to train their technology. They're sending out takedown notices left and right.
Earmuffs.
Block AI from learning from the largest music catalogs? Well, that's one obvious-ass, laggard-ass option. Another option, just start an AI division. Maybe buy the Drake It site. Charge a subscription fee. It's fake Drake, it'll never compete with the original. That's what makes this compelling. Get Drake's approval, get ahead of the curve, and get a foothold in the future. Don't fight the wave, ride it. Away from just music, Goldman Sachs released a sobering report that if generative AI lives up to the hype, then 300 million jobs across the United States and Europe will be lost to disruption. 300 million jobs. AI of all types has concerned so many people in so many powerful places that Elon Musk, Steve Wozniak, and hundreds of the biggest names in tech signed an open letter urging the world's leading artificial intelligence labs to pause the training of new super powerful systems for 6 months. In the letter, they warned advanced AI could represent a profound change in the history of life on Earth and should be planned for and managed with commensurate care and resources. Unfortunately, this level of planning and management is not happening. Even though recent months have seen AI labs locked in an out-of-control race to develop and deploy ever more powerful digital minds that no one, not even their creators, can understand, predict, or reliably control. Look, rogue entities ain't gonna listen to Elon or anybody else. That's what makes them rogue. Sure, maybe good faith innovators will pause for 6 months, but bad faith actors certainly won't, and they'll be the ones that are ahead of the wave. You can't put ketchup or the genie back in the bottle. Apparently Skynet's already here. In the words of the street poet Lazybone, either roll or get rolled over. That's why, to me, the AI glass is more than half full, and artists like Holly Herndon have already proven that point. Holly Herndon is a brilliant musician who leaned into AI years ago and is using it to amplify creativity and the human experience. In 2019, Holly released a majestic project called Proto, where she assembled an electronic pop choir that included human and AI voices. She created her own AI language model called Spawn, using her own voice that's featured throughout the project. Taking the AI marketplace possibilities a step further, Holly created Spawning, a company focused on building consent guidelines for AI while also allowing her own AI voice to be used as a tool for other musicians that comes complete with a monetization system. That's right, Holly has a company focused on AI consent guidelines and a compensation system already in place. If Holly's doing it now, what's Universal's excuse? When I think about the possibilities of AI, I think about the story of Tracy Lynn Curry, aka the D.O.C. In 1989, D.O.C. was one of rap's most promising superstars. He was like Snoop Dogg before Snoop Dogg. His debut album, No One Can Do It Better, was released on Ruthless Records, produced by Dr. Dre, and is a certified hip-hop classic. The project reached platinum status and peaked at #1 on the R&B charts for 2 weeks. Without question, it's an early landmark of West Coast gangster rap. No One Can Do It Better includes hits It's Funky Enough, Beautiful But Deadly, The Formula, among others. The video for The Formula is prophetic in retrospect. It features Dr. Dre in the lab assembling the super rapper prototype. He's mixing chemical concoctions, stitching together the necessary elements. D.O.C.'s on a stretcher looking like Frankenstein's monster or something straight out of Dexter's laboratory. Dre is literally creating the perfect MC. 14 years later, Dr. Dre and Eminem used the same concept in the In the Club video when they're in the lab constructing that era's super rapper prototype, 50 Cent. 14 years later, D.O.C. was still the formula. All was going awesome for D.O.C., but 5 months after his triumphant debut, Dre's protege suffered a near-fatal car crash. Doc's told this story plenty of times over the years. He says he was leaving a party in Beverly Hills, high on cocaine, ecstasy, weed, and alcohol, when he fell asleep at the wheel, veered off the road, crashed, was ejected through the rear window, and slammed his face first into a tree. Reportedly, it took 21 hours of reconstructive surgery to piece D.O.C. back together again. By the grace of G.O.D., he survived, but the damage to his vocal cords was so great that his voice was irreparably damaged. Those commanding, classic crafting vocals were gone forever, leaving a hyper-promising solo career on the side of that California highway. While on Uproxx's The People's Party, D.O.C. was asked what follow-up ideas for his second album looked like before the car wreck. D.O.C. said, "If I'm being honest, and I am most of the time, I never got a chance to dream that far. Never got a chance to dream that far. In my career, I did a total of 16 songs, but 12 of them were hell of a effing records. I'm a spiritual guy, and God said that's all you need. But D.O.C. comes to mind when I think about the upside to AI. Had AI been out in '89, D.O.C.'s career could have carried on through the power of pioneering technology. I mean, yes, he did release Helter Skelter in '96 and Deuce in 2003, but due to the damage to his vocal cords, neither of those projects resonated nearly as much as his incredible debut. At bare minimum, AI could have given D.O.C. the chance to dream that far. Side note, D.O.C. went 19 years before releasing another recorded verse. That streak came to an end in April when he made an appearance on Codefendants' Fast Ones off their phenomenal album, This Is Crime Wave. Links in description. I love this song. Here's a clip.
We used to say fuck the coppers on ayahuasca. All I want is knockers and poppers to keep it poppin'. I've been living so off balance that even drowning's a fucking challenge. Silence every day, this ain't fantasy island, niggas.
The point is this. All I hear is doom and gloom surrounding AI. Goldman Sachs estimates that 300 million jobs will be lost or degraded through AI. Universal Music Group is pushing streaming companies to block AI from learning music. Pete Rock called AI cowardly, silly, soulless stuff that's mad disrespectful. And Elon Musk and 300-something other tech giants wrote an open letter asking AI companies to pause innovation for the sake of humanity. All valid points, I guess, but all of this feels like a laggard, prohibitive mentality that permeated the turn of the century when Napster arrived. I mean, think about this. The major labels could have been 10 years ahead of Spotify, but instead they chose to put their energy into suing 12-year-olds for using LimeWire. Either way, there are plenty of upsides to the advent of AI. You'll never have to miss the old Kanye, for example. Just AI your favorite Yeezy. All your favorite collaborations that never happened, officially on the table. Holly Herndon and her company Spawning are case studies to AI monetization opportunities. Her company has built compensation systems and AI licensing guidelines. She's already a decade ahead of the industry. And most importantly, in those catastrophic health cases where artists suffer sudden hearing loss like Foxy Brown or irreparably damage their vocal cords like D.O.C., AI is an incredible resource to sustain a career before time is no longer on your side. I mean, sincerely, what heights could the D.O.C. have reached had AI been available when he tragically crashed his car in 1989? If Holly Herndon has already found ways to monetize AI, what is Universal waiting on? Are we disempowering ourselves by only coming up with criticism? I don't have the answer to these questions.
Static selector.
Another Saturday, another TBD. Thank you guys for rocking with me each week. I really appreciate it. I've been thinking about this AI stuff for a while. I think we all have. But last summer I did a piece on effing Mecca, and it was called Effing Mecca Ain't Going Nowhere. Well, here we are 6 months, 8 months since that uproarious signing by Capitol Records, and AI is everywhere. Effing Mecca was AR, but AI is everywhere now. And so this is something that's not gonna go away. We can't put the genie back in the bottle. We might as well embrace this now, find ways to use it to create new ways, new connections with humanity, just like Holly Herndon did. Check out her story. I'll put a link in the description for that. I also think it would be really interesting to hear what D.O.C.'s Helter Skelter and Deuce would sound like if we took an AI rendering of his voice from No One Can Do It Better and put it on top of those two projects. There are real possibilities, real upside to AI that I'm personally excited about, but let me know what you guys think about this. I understand the criticisms, I understand the concerns, I understand the disruption that's happening, but we've been here before, and everything always takes longer for people to get used to. Jump in now, ride the wave, don't fight it. But first, gotta shout out the analysts. Thank you guys for supporting this channel through your incredible commentary each week, and also to the illest analysts who continue to donate to this channel, helping to support this mission each week. You guys are priceless. Last question for the week. Let me know what you guys think of AI. Are you fearful of it? If you're an artist, have you considered ways to include it into your creative process? What do you think of D.O.C. and Codefendants? Let me know what you think of that track. My name is Justin Hunte. Like and subscribe to the channel. Follow @TheCompanyMan on everything. It's all happening.